Do you think in future seasons of Legends or anything, they'll get together again or maybe even increase the membership?
I would find it hard to believe that they wouldn't put the three of us back together again to create some kind of havoc. And then, like you said, it would be nice to build upon the three of us and make it even bigger and bigger so we can really take down the young ones. It'd be fun. The fans have gone so crazy for the Legion of Doom that I would really, it would be hard to believe they wouldn't bring the three of us back together again.
Yeah, I think I'm in agreement with Neil. I think they should. You guys loved it. Whether or not that it's on Legends or whether they spread the hate, not the love, the Legion love across the DC universe would be a good thing. But yeah, I mean, who knows? In the world of television, we never know where it will go. We never know what will happen. But definitely, if it does, I'll be there. I'll say yes.
At Legends of Tomorrow Writers Group. At Legends of Tomorrow Writers. Or Flash. Or Arrow.
Them all together. And there you go. Yeah. Well, I remember as tweet at the end of my first season when I was on Arrow. I got a call at the end of the season from Mark Guggenheim just before the last script came out. He goes, "I've got good news for you and bad news for you." All right. What's the bad news? You're dying in the next script. Well, what's the good news? You're coming back on Legends. So there's always room to bring people back. They're very clever. They're smart the way they do these things. And if the fans respond to a character, they bring them back because they want to make you guys happy. You're the ones tuning in every week to watch the shows. So they're going to listen to you. So if there is something that you like, if you do like the Legion of Doom, by all means, you write to them and tell them that's what you want. We like working too. True. We have a question over here.
Oh, hi, it's me.
I know, it's you.
Is that Ruve?
How did you get back there?
Hey, everybody.
I am Ruve. Okay, so my question. I love Legends of Tomorrow. I love taking my kids to the set. They love meeting all the characters you play.
I can't believe Ruve's asking a question.
More so, they love meeting you, people. The people that you are better than the characters you play. I believe and I want these people to know you. So if you guys were the writers on the show, where would you individuals take your characters? John, Maisie, Neil, Matt, if you could write where your character's going, help out Guggenheim and everyone, where should we take Damien Darr?
So is that you're saying on an individual or as the team?
Or the team, but it seems that you guys are more about individuality, playing tennis as opposed to Super Bowl or whatever.
I just don't know football.
If you were to, where would you take Malcolm?
Well, that's a very easy question for me to answer because what I would like to do, if it was a Malcolm episode, I would like to take the comic that we've written, my sister and I would like to put that into a mini special one-off on television and show you and let you know the backstory of Malcolm to why he became Malcolm Merlin and such a bad guy on Arrow, which led him to Legends of Tomorrow and the spots on Flash. So that's a totally easy question for me. There's ways then to intertwine other people into it, but that's my answer.
I would dovetail completely with that. My first impulse was an origin story. We know the broad strokes of how Eobard Thawne came to be the Reverse Flash, but they're only ever the broadest strokes, and to be able to see the actual evolution, the actual psychotic schism that happens for him over the course of his desire to be Barry Allen. I'd love to explore that origin story a little bit.
For me personally, being such a, I played baseball my whole life, and I know it's baseball. Yeah, I lost a lot of people there. But I love baseball, and my kids, follow suit in it because their old man loves baseball. So I've always wanted to get together in one room, Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, Ted Williams, Carl Yastrzemski, all of my heroes, and listen to their hitting tips. That's always been a dream of mine. So I always read their books. I'm a geek when it comes to baseball. So for Damien Dark, I'm sure he would like to put in one room all the worst psychopaths of all time. This would actually be a great episode. Put them all in one room, from Hitler to Mussolini to Attila the Hun, you name it. Put them all in one room and say, all right, boys, how do I get to be really bad like you guys? What's the key to being the worst person on the planet? And I think that would be an interesting episode. And then call these guys and say, guys, I'm sitting in the room with these guys, you gotta fly in. And all of a sudden, there's the three of us getting jerk tips from the biggest jerks in the history of jerkdom.
Bad Academy.
Bad Academy. That's what I was Bad Academy. 2 minutes, 30 seconds of Bad Academy. Right? I think that would be great.
It's like the opposite of the X-Men, right?
That's right. Bad boarding supply. Maisie.
I think I would love to see Mari. I want to see the two vixens together. I think that's something which needs to be made happen as well. Definitely. You met Mari.
I did.
Yeah. An arrow, right? Yeah. So I think and just having the trio, the three women, kicking ass together. I think us versus the Legion would be a great story.
That would be good. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Where'd Ruve go? She's left. Did that answer the question, Ruve? Yes. Yeah, thank you.
Give it up for my wife, Ruve.
Yeah.
Gee, you're tall.
That's very tall, too.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. So I had a kind of two-parter, but related. What was it like as three villains to bring in a not quite so villain with Captain Cold? And also, what was it like to kind of break into the dynamic chemistry between Wentworth Miller and Dominic Purcell?
Well, it's interesting because, for the three of us, we didn't work so much with those guys. And Wentworth is just awesome. What a phenomenal human being. What a terrific guy. He's just amazing. He really is. So the dynamics between them and us is so different because we just spent so much time together, really finding the key to making it as entertaining as possible. And we had so much fun and so many hours that we put in. So then when it came to acting with Wentworth, we didn't do a whole lot together. And it was just a different dynamic. With Wentworth, you talk about life and and the philosophies of life and such. And he's such an amazing human being. With us, we talked about just how to be as entertaining as possible and one-upmanship in a good way. So it was a very different dynamic between that and us.
And credit the writers. I think they knew by bringing him back, they had to pay attention to his relationship with Dominic.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the elephant in the room. They have to devote a lot of energy to that and do it in a way that is respectful for those characters and what they've built over the seasons, and not those two actors too. I mean, obviously they've done a lot together. So
they're brothers.
Fans want to see them together, and they did it in such a way where they were able to give that its due, and give the Legion of Doom its due, and include Wentworth in with the four of us. It really was really well done on there.
Dominic makes me laugh because Dominic is so dry and direct.
Good morning, Florida. I'm not going to do that. Get out of the way. No.
Love him. Wentworth, I have to admit, I had a crush on him. So when I first walked on set and knew I was going to be working with Wentworth, I was squeeing inside and fanboying because if you look to Wentworth's, if you look at him and have a conversation with him, you cannot take your eyes off of his eyes. And he's so when he talks to you, he's right there, and he looks into your soul. He looks right into your soul. So I was kind of sometimes not listening, just looking and going, oh.
What are we, chopped liver? I mean, seriously.
No, you guys are good looking too. No, that's okay. No, wait, come on. It's Wentworth Miller, everybody. Come on.
Wentworth. Whatever. I burned my retinas looking at it.
I'm telling you, I'm
solar eclipse. That's right.
what are they? Yeah, I'm exposing something about myself here in a way. You're kind of flustered.
That's it.
No, you guys are.
Is he blushing? Is he blushing?
This mic is fantasy. So it was a really great thing. Went was a lovely guy, and the fact that I was able to. One of the lines I did love when I watched the first season of Legends, and I'm watching it, and they had, I can't remember what he was doing, but he was breaking out of somewhere up at a prison, and they had a line that he said, he was talking on the comms over to somebody, I think it was to Arthur Darville, and they said, are you okay? And he's like, don't worry, I've broken out of prison before, or something like that. And I was watching and went, yes! They're doing the crossing thing, I love it! Easter eggs for everybody! So that was great. But they're two great guys, and the dynamic they bring to that show, obviously from their history, their past, and working together, they know each other more, and I don't mean this in a weird way, intimately than anyone on that set. And they just need to look at each other, and they know what one's thinking. So it's a great dynamic.
And we have a question over here.
Hello. So John Jajari answered this, but for everyone else, is there an actor or actress that you have or want to work with where you have a gigantic fan guy or fangirl moment?
I think Anthony Hopkins should play Damien Dark's dad. Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah.
There you go. I think that would be a good one.
There's sort of, it's kind of a two-sided question for me, because there's, I've got a huge Daniel Day-Lewis, I think the guy is an unearthly sort of talent who does things that... Milkshake, let's start there.
Stroll.
He is a true chameleon and sensitive soul, and has retired from acting, so that dream will not come true if that's the truth. But there are very, very precious few talents like him to ever walk the earth, really, and he is somebody I'd love to play. But from a pure fanboy perspective, I think Harrison Ford should be Gilbert Thon's father.
I would love to see Angelina Jolie. Yeah, I think get Tomb Raider on the show. That'd be amazing. If I can be all of us.
Wentworth is one of my questions, so I've already given you that answer. I can go on for hours about this.
No, John and I talked about one last year that, whether it's this show or another show, but I think this show, maybe Malcolm and Damien are brothers, and Cher is our mother. Come on! Talk about ratings!
I forgot about that! That was in one of those down moments where
It was 4 in the morning, I'm tired. Wouldn't it be great if Cher was our mom? Awesome! Casting.
All the writers' rooms. Go to that thing.
Hello. Hi. This is a question for everybody. I really liked the Legends episodes that tied in Star Wars and Lord of the Rings. So I'm curious if you got to design a Legends episode around a particular fandom, what would you like to bring in?
Harry Potter. You guys are all Slytherin, I'm sure.
For me, it would be actually The Wizard of Oz. And I read those books incessantly as a child and was infatuated with all of those characters. So yeah, it would be a Wizard of Oz. Dorothy.
That's a very good one. Tidman.
Thanks.
I think one of my favorite movies of all time, which was shot in my hometown as a kid, was Jaws. And I would love to see the Legion of Doom on the boat. Trying to take Maisie down. She's a shark. He was trying to figure out. They were just all over each other. You were the dumbest bad guy ever. That would be funny.
a bigger wave rider.
We're gonna need a bigger wave rider.
I would do an episode. I was a big monster movie, as in Godzilla, King Kong, Mothra, all of those movies when I was a kid, watching them after school. The Japanese dubbed ones. I would think it would be great, but do the sequence that all of our voices were dubbed out of sync. So they would say something.
I will kill you, creature of the Black Lagoon. You are going down.
So we have that element of comic humor to it, but also but dub it as like that. You do my voice, I would do yours. Matt,
We would never get anything done.
Anyway.
So, for this one is mostly for the Legion, and my question is, how different was it playing your character on Legends than it was playing it on Arrow or Flash?
I'll start. I mean, for me, it was very different. Mainly because Eobard Thawne's relationship to Barry Allen is so central to his identity, to his raison d'etre. He's just very. I mean, he's obsessed with the man, and the scenes they write for Grant and I in The Flash are terrific. And Grant himself is such a lovely, hardworking, present actor. I feel like our stuff just really works for me and turns out well. But that show is a very intimate, literally a family show. It's a show about a family, and then you come over to Legends, and it's like Guardians of the Galaxy, meets the Wiggles or something. It's madness. It's utter madness.
Ready, steady, wiggle. Who's got kids?
And then to have to dovetail with these three guys, there was definitely an adjustment period, but it didn't take long. It was once I realized it was like, oh right, we're the Three Stooges. We're that. It was a lot of fun to dive into.
For me, it was interesting the very first day of filming on Arrow. We're about to roll. We rolled our first take, and the assistant director came up to me and said, "You need to take your wedding ring off." I'm like, "Why?" And I never took my wedding ring. Because, well, you're a bad guy. Yeah? Well, you can't have a wedding ring. You can't be married. I'm like, why can't a bad guy be married? So I called Mark Guggenheim, and they said, they want me to take my ring off, but I think that maybe, A, I'm not going to take it off, and B, can there be a storyline that Damien has a wife? Because I love that. A bad guy with a family that's sick and twisted. It's perfect. So, I'll get to the point. Later, finally, they introduced my wife, and they named my wife Reve on the show after Reve, which was really awesome. And there was a scene in there where Reve dies in the show. And it's the one time in the whole series that you see that Damien Dark really has a heart. And that's stuck in the brains with Mark and the writers. And they've come to me this year and they said, what would it be like for you to maybe find your heart at some point on Legends and become somewhat of a good guy? And I thought about it, and that's something that I would love to explore, kind of, finding your heart when you're a villain, and how I became this miserable, horrible human being, but yet you saw that Damien has his heart. So that's something I would love to explore, from something I would pull from the seriousness of Arrow to the fun of Legends, trying to really. And I've never seen that on television before, where a bad guy really finds his heart and maybe becomes a good guy and realizes what a schmuck he was.
This could also be the Wizard of Oz episode.
That's right. Right? Tin Men again. Here we go.
Malcolm was on Arrow. I've always said that Malcolm, although he would kill Oliver in a second if he had to, or kill any of the team if he had to, he would, but also he has a place in his heart for them that he would protect them. And that was the one thing that I think that you guys all grasped with Malcolm, was the fact that he cared for them a little bit. When he was going into his journey of losing his son and losing his wife and all that kind of stuff. And the one sequence I remember filming through the window, which I've told you guys before was for you, was when they wanted me to do it to the rest of the people in the room, and I said, no, let me just do it right to the camera, and I let a tear drip down the side of my face when I was talking about the death of my wife. And again, like Neil was saying, it showed you that there was one little iota of a heart in there. And that was, so Malcolm, when he went into Legends, the whole fact that he'd also watched Damien kill and murder, Laurel, it was just, because that was one of the team, and they didn't show the bit where Malcolm, there was a direct when he was walking out following Damien, looking at her body on the ground, and there was a bit of anger towards Damien at first when they were in Legend, because he knew what he had done. I knew what he had done. Malcolm knew what he had done. So it was building that trust, and then realizing that they were different here in this time-traveling world. That there was something, they didn't have to worry about their past, really. They could start afresh and have a new future. And that lightened him up a little bit, and also let him become part of a team rather than being an individual villain. So that's how I kind of approached it.
And we're close on time, so we've got time for one more question.
Hey guys, I know Neil, before he was on Arrow, voiced Oliver Queen in the animated stuff. And Matt actually was on Good Morning Miami dressed up as a Flash for a Halloween episode. Yeah. Is there anybody on the panel? Is there any hero or villain that you guys would want to play in the animated series that you haven't been able to?
There's an obscure character, and I keep mentioning him because I just think it'd be so much fun to play. The Hitman, Johnny Monahan. I just love that when the good guys can't get the job done taking down some dirtbag, they call this one guy to come in and get it done. And that's a character that I think, I love playing in the gray area of stuff. And because as humans, I don't know anyone who's truly bad or truly good. We all have our problems in life. We all have to deal with certain situations and try to do the best with it. And to find a character who really delves into that, whether it's Hitman or somebody else, that's a character that I would love to play next. When going back cinematically, the character of Popeye Doyle in French Connection has always been my favorite character in film history, because here's a cop that's falling to pieces. He can't figure out how to make his life work, but at the end of the day, he's the best darn cop out there, and he's got to get the job done. And those are characters that I love. So something like that, yeah, for me.
Does it have to be from the DC universe? I love Hermione. I'm a massive Potter nerd, by the way. Yeah, I'd love to do an animated Harry Potter.
Mine's easy. I would hope Squirrel Girl has a squirrel brother. And I want to be his voice. I've been Squirrel Girl, so I want to be Squirrel Boy.
Mine's easy too. Yeah, I don't remember their actual names. I don't know why I know, but I'd want to be in the Wonder Twins.
Jan and Jace.
I'd have to find a twin, but they were such a part of my childhood. CGI. Yeah, maybe I could play both sides. Who knows? But that was one of those Justice League really underserved heroes, I feel, and I'd like to give them their due.
Justice League was the first comic that Malcolm Merlin appeared in.
Oh, damn.
There you go.
Thank you so much for spending time with us today.
Thank you.